Well, we finally had a real winter here in New York City. It's been so long since we've had winter, as it should be. Cold, snow, cold, storm, blizzard, shoveling, winter boots. All I feel like in over 10 years, I haven't had to wear my snow boots. Uh, we haven't had that much snow. So, with a real winter, as it used to be, there comes a time when in a city the snow becomes kind of gross. You're walking around, the sidewalks are clear, but there's still piles of snow, and as it's melting, it's just, and it's still sort of frozen, it's disgusting. And here in New York City, it's really bad. There's all kinds of stuff that has accumulated in the snow that is revealed as it's melting. Unmentionables, which I will not mention, but it's all black and gross. And I had an itch. I was like, I need to get away. I feel like getting away. And there's this thing about the winter in a very cold place, especially when it lasts a long time. For me, I feel like what I need to do is revive my senses. And I don't know if it came from something that I read about John Singer Sargent. Sargent once said that anyone and everyone should paint, whose painting should paint flowers, should go out and paint bright colored flowers. And I think he said something along the lines of, because it revives your senses, like it wakes you up, painting flowers outside. Maybe that's where it's from. But for quite a number of years, I've had this feeling of every now and then I just need to revive my senses of sight and sound and smell and taste and touch. And that happens when I leave my routine and I go somewhere else that's very different. And the place I wanted to go was the West Coast, Los Angeles. I have a little routine out there, and I've been doing this for years, and it's so wonderful. I stay at a hotel on the beach, and I ride a bike along the beach to Venice and walk along Abbot Kinney. And this year, I had a reason to go. So I have been painting watercolor studies for a few years now, and I have a little announcement. My watercolor studies will no longer be sold on my website. They are now going to be sold at a wonderful shop called Nickey Kehoe. Nickey Kehoe started in LA, in like the Fairfax neighborhood, I think, and now they have a location on East 10th Street, West 10th Street, on 10th Street here in New York City. It's a beautiful store. It feels like an art gallery when you're walking in there, or a museum, even when you're looking at kitchen goods. Everything is so curated. So they are going to be the exclusive seller of all of my watercolor studies and my oil studies. I'm so honored. When we decided to collaborate, I was told that they needed the paintings in LA and that I could mail them. But my watercolor studies are very precious to me. I feel like they're my babies. And there was something about sending my nicest work by mail out to LA. Yes, it could have been insured and it would have gotten there. But I felt that there should be some sort of ceremony involved in the initiation of this venture. And I just knew I have to take them there myself. I have to carry my paintings to LA and hand them over in person. I wanted to meet the team that's going to be framing them and matting them and selling them. I wanted to see what the shop looked like in LA, and it was the perfect time of year to do it because it would revive my senses. So I packed up all my paintings, went to the airport. There's a great scene in a movie from the 90s called Ever After, Drew Barrymore movie, which I watched as a kid with my sister in the theater. And there's an artist in the movie, His name is Leonardo. A an actual person sort of fictionalized in the movie. And there's a scene where Leonardo and his entourage, and Leonardo's an old man, like all white, long white hair, where they're on horses, and then there are a band of thieves come and sort of rob them of everything and grab stuff. And Leonardo shouts out like, "No, no, you have to get that back," and tells one of the people in his group to chase the thief, and the thief manages to be caught, and this thing comes back to Leonardo, and he sighs a huge sigh of relief, and he pulls from a tube, he pulls out this canvas and unfurls it, and it's the Mona Lisa. It's very cute, very charming, but that feeling of complete panic when this thing gets taken away from him, I had that sort of in my mind when I was carrying these paintings. It's like this bag full of paintings. It felt like the most precious cargo that I could carry across the country. So I arrived in LA and started my routine, and it was so nice. I accomplished exactly what I had hoped, which was to have sunshine, bright sunshine, warmth. That's the sense of touch. That is the sense of touch, when the sun and the heat is touching your bare skin. The sense of sight was revived by seeing all of the bright colored flowers on the plants and the vines around all the little bungalows in Venice. Beautiful Bougainvillea, like sort of really dark pink and orange. And then it was fascinating, and I was shocked to see citrus on trees in people's front yards. There was like trees with oranges on them, and I saw a tree sort of set into someone's yard with grapefruit on them. That was a thrill. So the sense of sight was revived from being out there. I ate fish and seafood from local, like not far away, at a wonderful restaurant that has just opened up called River, RVR. That was the sense of taste. I also bought citrus, and I would have it in my hotel room, locally grown. So that was wonderful. Every opportunity I had to have freshly squeezed orange juice, I did that as well. Sound, sense of sound was the ocean, because I was staying right by the ocean. I could hear it. I could hear it when I was just sitting and reading my book on the terrace of the hotel, or when I was painting, because I did more painting while I was out there. One of the things I like to do when I'm in a place that has palm trees is paint the palm trees. And on this trip, I was really looking at all of the different types of palms, and I started to kind of study them. It's very confusing. It was very confusing initially to understand how they grow. They don't have like a woody stem, like a tree trunk, like a pine tree that has branches that come out of it. It grows in a very different way. And it was fascinating to start to study not just the foliage at the top, because the foliage is indicative of how the trunk grows. The trunk is the remainder of this stuff. And I won't go into that because it's just completely nerding out. But what I started to do was to paint, or to attempt to paint, the trunks of the palm tree. This was the beginning of one of the attempts, and it was a failure because I rushed. And I want to show you this because this is part of the process of a watercolor study. You're not setting out to create a masterpiece. You're attempting to understand something. That's what a study is. And in this, I did not take my time in completely analyzing and understanding the growth of the leaves that create this beautiful lattice on the trunk of a certain type of palm tree. I just thought, okay, I'm just going to sort of summarize it. Well, it has these nature, if you're trying to capture it accurately, especially if it's mathematical, has a way of just laughing at you. It bursts out laughing at you, saying, what did you think? You were just going to wing it? Like, this is millions of years of evolution that have gone into the way this works, and you're just going to wing it? So that is what happened here. This was a more careful attempt of understanding how that trunk grows. It was hurting my head. Like, I was sitting there and I was like, okay, these go this way, they end here, they overlap. It's kind of like a basket weave, but it's not completely a basket weave. It was very confusing to figure out. And then, like, I did this day after day, and I would be sitting there for over an hour, sometimes two. And then finally, I did get it. It took a long time to understand what I was looking at. And then that's this study right here. Right there. Painting from life and painting outdoors really connects you to the environment. You're susceptible. If it starts raining and you're not covered, you kind of have to stop. It didn't rain while I was painting these, but the light's changing. If you're in the sun, you get too hot. You're looking so intensely in order to really capture what you're looking at and what you're studying. It is a wonderful, wonderful way of truly absorbing the environment. And for me, making the effort to fly all the way to the West Coast and the expenditure to be there for a little while, doing this really makes me feel like I was really here and I really saw things and I took my time to be absorbed in the environment. It's become a wonderful practice. So these are my palm studies. Here's like the trunk and a different type of palm at the top. I painted that same palm again. These are some palms by the beach. These were in Venice, like in a residential neighborhood. I found a little spot under a tree that had a random discarded table. It was like a park. And I was like, oh, this is the perfect place to set up for painting. So that was great. This I painted from the terrace of the hotel. The social aspect of the joke. Now, even when we're brothers and sisters, and I painted it multiple times. So those are my palm paintings. And there's one that's missing. Where are you? I'll have to look for, there's one more. I call these paintings a German word that I learned from my friend Beate when she was referring to them once in correspondence, and when she corresponds with me, she always types or writes letters in German. And she said, Deine Palmenbild. Palmenbild, one word. Palmenbild, which means palm picture. And I didn't know that was even a word. But when I said it out loud, I was like, that is a beautiful word, Palmenbild. And I had it stuck in my head the whole time I was there. I have to work on my Palmenbild. So these are my Palmenbilden. That was my trip. I managed to avoid a crazy blizzard here in New York, but now I'm back. The snow is yet again melting. Yet again, it's hideous, the color of it. But this too shall pass. Reviving your senses. You don't have to fly somewhere to do it. You can do it locally, going into a botanical garden, a greenhouse. Just be aware that the possibility exists. Engage. Yeah. Where's my palm picture? It's missing. I don't like that it's missing.